Renters do every day.
In my opinion, that sucks.
Yeah. This is the Philly Experience podcast. I'm Tanner Martin, and alongside me is Tyre Hood. It's been a minute. I believe the last time we were on here, we were talking about the Phillies blowing the postseason away.
Yeah, that was a
And
good time.
now
Good fucking
here we
times.
are.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
some good damn times. Just we're not even gonna bring that up. But speaking of good times to celebrate, let's celebrate the fact that the Eagles got their asses handed to them on a silver platter by their, in my opinion, by their new rivals. That's just my opinion. Honestly, I think the 49ers are a bigger rival than the Cowboys at this point. I could be wrong, but I digress.
Even the way that the Eagles kind of rolled over there too, saying, it's all part of the game and no hard feelings and stuff like that. And then the 49ers were like, yeah, it's just the game too. It kind of was in my opinion soft the way that went about right over there.
Oh, it was very soft. Very soft. I mean, you got the 49ers basically. I mean, the DBs were huddling up before the game, and the 49ers really ran right through their huddle. And like the total amount of disrespect that the 49ers came in with, like it was absolutely unbelievable. It was entertaining, but it was still unbelievable. But the response for me, I think, is what's ultimately disappointing.
Yeah, let's get into this loss specifically, T. The score 42-19. The 49ers also beat the Cowboys by a score similar to that earlier in the season. The Cowboys are a different team now. When the Eagles beat the Cowboys in the beginning of the season, the Cowboys, I believe, won 4 straight or 4 games in between that time span. Different team.
I want
Dak
Mason
Prescott and Jalen Hurts, but let's rip the Band-Aid off the 49ers game first and get into what's going on in the future a little bit here now. 49ers, like I mentioned, 42 points they dropped on the Birds. At home, they did it. This was the 49ers revenge game, just like the Kansas City game was the Eagles revenge game. They did what they said they were going to do. But one thing I thought, well, there's multiple things actually, but one of the things I thought was kind of weird after the game when Bosa is talking about how they drew up a blueprint to stop Jalen Hurts. Man totaled over 300 yards that game. What kind of blueprint are you drawing up for the Cowboys? It's like he's trying to be in cahoots with the Cowboys. The Eagles really get under their skin. That's clear. That showed on the sideline when Big Dom got into it with Greenlaw. Greenlaw tossed, Big Dom tossed as well, T. I want to hear your opinion on all that.
So starting with the Nick Bosa bullcrap that apparently that Jalen Hurts has been figured out. Look, is Jalen Hurts having the best season compared to last season? Standards? No, not necessarily. But to say that Jalen Hurts, there's a tape out there on Jalen Hurts. I mean, come on, dude. And for him to say that, I think is absolutely egregious considering that every single time I looked over at Nick Bosa, Lane Johnson was making him his ass lap. Like, I have never seen a more dominating ass whooping at the line of scrimmage than I saw Lane Johnson did against Nick Bosa. I mean, he tossed him around like a rag doll. Nick Bosa was a non-damn factor in that game. And for him to sit here and say that you have a blueprint, like you're the last person I think I really need to hear talking about you have a blueprint on Jalen Hurts. Now, all that being said, speaking of Jalen Hurts, he didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a game where he was extraordinary, where he was come back from behind against the Bills, Jalen Hurts. Is that worrisome? A little bit, but to expect so much out of your quarterback. I mean, yeah, he's your franchise quarterback. You do expect him to cover your ass in a lot of areas. But it seems like this team is consistently doing it week after week, time and time again. And for me, that's frustrating. Like, I need everybody else to step up. Like, I need the coordinators to actually, help the quarterback out and, call up some short passes for him to get that ball out of his hands when a blitz is coming. Like, I need the coordinators to kind of call some running back plays to get DeAndre Swift in open space. Like, I need the coordinators to step up and actually assist the offense and stopping the damn opposing offense and not being the worst passing offense in the NFL. By the way, that's not a stretch. That's the actual stats. We have the worst passing offense. Passing defense in the NFL. That is a problem. That is a huge problem. That's not sustainable. And there's way too many veterans in that defensive backfield for the Eagles to be the absolute worst passing defense in the NFL. There's no reason why, with the defensive line that the Eagles possess, there's no reason why with the veterans that the Eagles possess that they should be the worst passing defense in the NFL. Like, it's absolutely atrocious.
And it was embarrassing to watch. It really got out of hand after that third quarter. Deebo Samuel, I was almost positive I was going to see him do the Eagle celebration with the arm flaps, but he didn't do that. He knows better. He was definitely silencing the crowd and waving goodbye, which, that's the team's right who wins. But back to that Bills game.
Oh, you mother.
Exactly. That 49ers game hurts me. I got to talk about the Bills game for a second here. That was one of the best games I've ever witnessed in person. The game, it was electric. Bills fans, there was a few Bills fans, most of them weirdly wearing their pajamas throughout the game. I guess that's their thing, Bills Mafia, whatever. And it was a great comeback. Jalen Hurts deciding to do it himself. It was nerve-wracking. Jake Elliott kicking that field goal. I mean, that's incredible. Over 50 yards in the wind. It's a little rainy. Great game. But that 49ers game brought us back down to earth, right, T? The Eagles
definitely.
are at that point, they're 10-1. Their only loss was a fluke to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. They could have put up more points. I expected a bigger fight from the Eagles. Now, I had predicted that they would have lost in the preseason when we did our predictions.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've only been wrong, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I've only been wrong on 2 games this season, and that was the Rams. I thought they were going to lose to the Rams for some reason. That's because I hadn't watched the season yet, and I had them losing against this first game in Dallas. But I knew that the 49ers were probably going to make it their mission to beat the Eagles and get some revenge for a championship you can't get revenge for until it's back in the championship game. But they are the team to beat. They proved that. The 49ers did. And they only did that in 3 quarters. Brock Purdy was out. They're talking about MVP Brock Purdy. I think that might be a little too far. Guy just does what he needs to do. Gets the ball to open guys because the secondary is sliding. They're burnt toast, like you like to say. The guys are old back there. Got some new addition, Shaq Leonard, because, and this is a sweet one going into the Cowboys game, maybe not because of his talent, but more so like, damn, they got the guy that we wanted. We had our cards on the table, and they beat us to this guy. That's what goes into that. But the 49ers, they beat the Eagles. They beat them fair and square. There was some talk in the beginning. There was a little bit of dirty play, but they played football better than the Philadelphia Eagles did, and that was concerning to see.
It was concerning to see. And A.J. Brown multiple times called him out on it when he was interviewed this week. And I believe they had a players-only meeting this week discussing, what exactly went wrong in that game. And it basically A.J. Brown said, we're going to see, we're going to see the results of that meeting. Did they step it up? Now, I will say this. Under Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, under their tenure, it's very rare that they suffer back-to-back defeats since the 2 have come together. And it's encouraging that because of that stat, basically, that I do think we're going to see a different team on Sunday. And I don't think we're going to get the same results that we saw. I'm going to be honest with you, Tanner. players can get lazy and complacent when you're just straight up winning, and that's what was happening. Those 4 games when Jalen Hurts was bringing them back from behind to win. Like I firmly believe there were players, maybe even some coaches, getting a little lazy, taking for granted certain situations. And in the 49ers game, it came back to bite them in the ass. I mean, like you said, they came to play football and the Eagles didn't. Straight up. You got to give the 49ers credit for that. So now it's on to Dallas. So now we're going to see who's going to step up. Are they going to step up? Do I think they're going to step up based upon revisionist history? Yes. This team typically steps up when they lose, especially when Jalen Hurts is out there. So that gives me a little bit of confidence going into this Cowboys game. I don't think we're going to see the same mistakes, but let's hope and pray that Shaq Leonard, comes in. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Shaq Leonard was going to be a boost to this defense no matter what. I don't even care if we're only getting 50% Shaq Leonard. It's a whole lot better than what Nicholas Morrow did for us against the 49ers. All right, that was just absolutely atrocious. And not just Nicholas Morrow, but the entire defense as a whole. So anything Shaq Leonard can bring to the table at this point is going to be a boost and an upgrade for that defense, especially in that linebacker core. Oh, by the way, I'm on a personal rant. There's been a lot of people before the course of the season that tried to convince me that linebackers didn't matter. Bullshit. That was a game that proved linebackers still matter in the NFL. You cannot cheap your way with cheap linebackers. You can't do it. It's going to catch up to you. You at least need one decent linebacker. I will say that. You at least need one decent linebacker. You can't have 2 or 3 cheap linebackers out there and think that you're just going to continue to have success on defense. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, in the middle of the field was wide open at some points.
During toast, as I say.
Was that Deebo Samuel 3-tutty kind of day? 4 touchdown passes for Brock Purdy, over 300 yards. It was brutal to watch, and that's why Brock Purdy has been padding his stats all season. I mean, playing teams where they just expose their weaknesses. They get stronger. They add Chase Young before the trade deadline. 49ers, it's definitely concerning, but I'm hoping that the 49ers, once again, they get into their little slump there, that 3-game slump they had. They were losing to teams like the Bengals without Joe Burrow, and I think they might have lost the Browns
as
well.
Did.
It's, I guess, more so you can hope for 49ers failure, because seeing that matchup, it makes you nervous for the next matchup that the 49ers and the Eagles have. But the Eagles can get better from there, and that's when we go into this Dallas Cowboys game. There's been a lot of talk about these 2 quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. A lot of trash talk some glory hole. It's crazy how it works, huh, T? The Eagles, they just can't seem to get on the level that people want them to be at, expectations-wise, because the meter, it's always moving, T. The expectations are always moving, and the doubts are always there against the Eagles. They win 4 games. Oh, just wait until next week when they lose. Then you'll see they win that one. Oh, just wait until this Cowboys game. Then they'll get exposed. They beat the Cowboys. Oh, just wait until the Kansas City Chiefs game. They beat the Chiefs. Oh, just wait. And then they lose. See, told you so. They finally lose another game. They're 10-2. See, we told you, the Eagles suck. They don't mean business, blah, blah, blah. It's the same story every season, T. Just want those Eagles fans out there to just stay focused on your own team, your expectations that you know that the Eagles can do. If they get into the playoffs, they have a chance. I mean, just as any other team has a chance, but the Eagles turn a different gear on. Maybe they didn't play the best against the 49ers, but that other gear is coming, and that might come this week. Is Dallas week. A few days away from the actual game. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles won game 1. Can they go for the sweep, T? Well, what do you think is going to happen?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Tanner. Going back to what you said before, we go into the Cowboys. They people have been saying the same rhetoric about this team last year. Oh, they didn't go up against anybody. That's why their schedule was easy. That's why they went to the Super Bowl. But now that we had statistically the hardest schedule in the NFL, and basically through this gauntlet, we're 4-1. Most people didn't have us at 4-1 when we reached this point in the season. But the Eagles continue to exceed expectations. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me. I could care less about what somebody says about my team, especially when certain former quarterbacks who might have taken a concussion or two say that it's better to bench my quarterback and think that Marcus Mariota will come in and win games. But I digress.
Yeah, he might be on drugs, too. We might have to check him. David Carr
Might
is his
be
name.
on drugs.
Don't
Jeez.
forget it. That is the brother of Derek Carr, who is, by the way, returning this week to play football. But that guy is that's why he's in the position he's in, right? He stopped playing football in 2012. He had I believe it was like a 10 season career. Not a Pro Bowler or anything of that matter. Just talking about something he thinks is true, but it was an awful take. I mean, a brutal take. Let's put Marcus Mariota because Jalen Hurts, he's just not there. That's what I mean, Take. You have games where Jalen Hurts is absolutely balling. He gets a crazy game against the Bills where he just adds to his stat sheet. And then when he has a game where he still is responsible for over 300 yards in a game, well, maybe we should try Marcus Mariota. For a game that is a huge game, rivalry, first of all. This is for the first place in the NFC East, potential home field advantage for the playoffs on the line here. And Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts. If you don't play Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott, and that just more conversation arises. You let Dak Prescott walk away with that potential MVP, which would make my stomach absolutely turn if I got to see that guy in another freaking mattress commercial. Now he has another commercial on a colonoscopy. He puts a Birds logo on the bucket of poop.
Real quick, Tanner, because this needs to be said. David Carr, real quick, just
stay off the weed.
I don't know what type of drugs you're on.
That guy's on TV.
To say something that egregious. Like I think this is the first time I think I've seen him on TV, to be honest with you. I don't know how long he's been on TV, but if you're trying to make headlines, yeah, that's the perfect way to do it, but not in a good way. That's just stupid. Like you're just asking for your reputation to be null and void at that point. Mm-hmm. But we're going into a Cowboys game. We're going into
hold on. We're not done. We're not done.
Oh, we're not done.
David Carr. We're still ripping him. Just
we're still
ripping his quarterback record, 23-56.
Tanner's going.
What's this guy know about winning?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. What the hell does he know about winning? Let's look into his stats a little bit more. 65 tutties. He has more interceptions than touchdowns. 65 touchdowns, what? 71 interceptions. This guy plays more for the other team than his own. Unbelievable.
What's he here for?
Yeah, what is he here for? I understand he's
a bunch of low lives.
He threw for over 3,000 yards in 2004. Who the hell cares about 2004? Come on.
Oh my gosh, I did not expect Tanner to just start doing research on David Carr and just start ripping them shreds.
Carr, just your brother's better than you at football. Just relax, pal. I don't know.
Man, that's ludicrous.
I think he was just trying to do exactly what he did and make headlines.
But that's a bad way to do it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's going to be plenty of sports takes out there that you can use.
Skip Bayless has been doing that for quite some time too.
Exactly. Like, there's other ways to make headlines. That ain't it, fam. That's not it.
Yeah. Well, That was I just needed to get that off my chest.
Oh man, a rare Tanner
He's
rant
never
here.
had a winning season. It doesn't look like he's ever had a winning season as the quarterback, a quarterback record, a winning quarterback record.
Oh well, that from what it sounds like, apparently, according to Tanner,
You're always on your back.
and that's apparently what happened to David Carr. Derek, I mean, geez, how do you not have a winning record in the NFL? Like that.
Someone check that for me, but like either way, what are we doing here?
That's horrible. That's just that's sick. All right, let's move on to bigger and better things.
Back to those Cowgirls. So
Yeah,
this game, huge game. A lot on the line. The last game, the Eagles escaped with it wasn't a clean game. A lot of people blame the referees, but the referees are who got the Cowboys in scoring position with seconds left in the game, and they still could not do that. Dak Prescott steps out of bounds. They're moving forward, then they're moving backwards. It's a game that, as Eagles fans, we need and the team needs to rebound from that big loss.
Not only do they need to rebound, but first place in the division and the conference is basically on the line this coming Sunday. I mean, if the Cowboys win, the division is tied, and I believe the Cowboys hold the tiebreaker. So that means that the Cowboys will go right into first place in the conference, not just in the division, but the conference, while the Eagles will go to the wild card. And that's not to say that I'm worried about the Eagles, necessarily maybe having to play an extra game. I'm not worried about that. But you want to keep a stronghold on that conference and that division. You want that first round bye. You want everybody to have to come through the link. Oh, trust me. After what we saw last year, how we destroyed the Giants and how we destroyed the 49ers, you want that path to the Super Bowl to run through Philadelphia. So this is not just a division rival game. It is so many marbles that are on the line this upcoming Sunday. They have to rebound. They have no other choice. This is a game that will determine two main things for me. One, a win will tell me that last week was a fluke. And number two, a win will also tell me what type of team this Philadelphia Eagles really, really is. What everybody was saying during the course of the season true? Is this team lucky, or is this team actually skilled enough from the coaches to the players to be able to beat the big dogs in the NFL?
Yeah, and the Eagles get that number 2 seed. First off, their pathway to the playoffs would be a little bit easier, They wouldn't have to play the 49ers until that third game. I think they would start by playing the Falcons.
No.
I believe. Or would the Cowboys play the Falcons?
So here's how the conference stands right now. It's Eagles, Detroit, San Francisco, and then Atlanta. And so the lowest seed would play the highest seed. So if the wild card right now, the Cowboys would play Atlanta, that would be an easy game. That would be a really easy game, to be honest with you, when you think about it. Yeah, you're right. But me personally, I just want, is it going to be hard necessarily in this NFC to go back to the NFC Championship game? No, it's not. Like, the NFC is very mid. But I still want things to come through Philadelphia. I want people to hear that crowd. I want people to feel those Eagles fans screaming at the top of their lungs in the link, in the freezing cold, because it's going to be cold in January. I want that so bad. I want teams to come through here and to freaking earn it. That's the only way you're going to make it into the Super Bowl. You got to earn it. It got to come through here. I want that. And plus, an extra week of rest at the end of the season might bode well for this team, especially, with the, little injuries that's been popping up with this team.
Yeah, and the Cowboys, they have a little gauntlet at the end.
They do.
After this Eagles game. First, they got the Eagles, then the Bills, Dolphins, Lions, Commanders. The Eagles have the Seahawks, Giants, Cardinals, Giants.
I mean, after the Seahawks is pretty sweet, to be honest with you. two Giants games and the Arizona Cardinals. Come on, you can't ask for a better schedule at the end of the season than that for the Eagles. The Eagles pretty much can control their own destiny, but that starts Sunday. You beat the Cowboys, you keep them in the wild card, you win a couple more games. Not only the division is yours, but the conference is yours. And now you can sit back and relax while everybody else continue to beat themselves up week after week.
Oh yeah, for sure. And T, when we are talking about this Cowboys matchup, what are your key matchups in this one? What do the Eagles need to do to win and win comfortably?
Well, it starts with those DBs. I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb went off for 170 plus yards the last time CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys played the Eagles at the Link this year. So, yeah, my matchup is going to be one of my main matchups is going to be CeeDee Lamb versus these Eagles DBs. Most likely, they can't do what they did last time. So CeeDee Lamb, for the most part, lined up in the slot the last game, and at that time, it was Eli Ricks, undrafted free agent rookie, who was mostly playing the slot. And I mean, it carved him up like a Thanksgiving turkey. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that type of performance can't make it that easy for Dak. You have to have either Bradbury or Slay follow CeeDee Lamb wherever he goes on that, wherever he lines up. That's where either Slay or Bradbury has to be. You cannot just allow easy free yardage to CeeDee Lamb, and that's really their main wide receiver. All right, now Brandon Cooks is starting to heat up a little bit too, but not the way CeeDee Lamb has been going off these last 4 or 5 weeks. And then also going back to that Eagles game, CeeDee Lamb, you've got to have a plan for CeeDee Lamb going into it. Number 2, this defensive line versus this Cowboys offensive line. Now, this Cowboys offensive line ain't the same Cowboys offensive line that we grew up watching. There's holes in it. There's injuries. They're older. They don't have the same players. You can get to Dak Prescott, but the problem is this defensive line has been really up and down this year. I think I saw a stat where this defensive line is ranked dead last in sacks on third down. That's another problem with this overall defense. You have got to get off the damn field on third down. Shut it down. And that starts with a couple of things. That starts with getting to the damn quarterback. And that also starts with the DBs not playing 10 freaking yards off the right receivers.
Yeah. And another guy I want to throw in there, T, is Kevin Byard. Okay. Kevin Byard, he has allowed, I believe, 21 of 24 passes to be completed against him.
I mean, he's not the same player.
People are putting him in the blender a little bit over there. And if you got guys like, I know you mentioned CeeDee Lamb and Cooks and all of those guys, but even Ferguson, he had a great game against the Seahawks, and that's going to be his matchup, I believe, right? That should be Byard's guy that he's going to be watching.
Either Byard or Reed Blankenship. Yeah,
and Reed. Oh man, Reed. I know he's like in the Pro Bowl voting and stuff like that, but that 49ers game that exposed him a little bit too. I feel like on a couple of those routes he kind of gave up.
Yeah, he's a young guy still trying to figure it out too. I just feel like these DBs are not communicating well with each other. Like, I don't know if the trade for Kevin Byard kind of messed up the chemistry a little bit, because basically, Kevin Byard has to learn on the fly and learn the different verbiage and the communication. But they gotta fix it, and they gotta fix it quick, because this is a game you don't want to drop. And God forbid you drop this game and then you have to go out to Seattle on Monday night, because the Seahawks ain't no easy team either. They're not the Cowboys, but they're not. As you saw, they were going toe to toe with the Cowboys. They're not an easy team to beat either. So you can't take this Cowboys team for granted. You don't want to drop a game. These DBs need to step up in terms of communication, in terms of their play. All of them. You can't continue going forward being the worst pass defense in the NFL. You can't do it. That defensive line has to step up. Those DBs have to step up. And my God, please, Shaq Leonard, help these damn linebackers out. Please, for the love of God. I thankfully, Zach Cunningham is coming back. Just keep Zach Cunningham and Shaq Leonard out there, and I'll be happy.
Leonard's got to make a presence out there in his first game.
And you're asking somebody who used to play at a high, all pro level to all of a sudden fix your linebacker core. I mean, that's a tough task. I mean, there's a reason why the Colts just outright released him. There's a reason.
Well, the Colts are they're going through some stuff. They have been for a couple seasons now, but the Maniac, they called him, they loved him. And he actually, after he got cut, he went to the next game, I believe, as a fan. He's got a few back surgeries. 6 seasons in, I believe, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
He's going to make his presence just like Micah Parsons is going to attempt to make his presence known. Obviously, will. You can't ignore that guy over there. And I think he's going to be the focus for this offense, really. They're going to be trying to maneuver around him, especially Hurts has been getting in trouble over there. He's going to be seeing Parsons. He might panic a little bit. You know how he does with those passes sometimes. But if that's the case, these guys in the middle of the line, who do you have? Dickerson, other guys. They're the defensive guys on the middle of the line right there. They're going to be trying to get to Hurts all game, and they might expose that offensive line. That's what I am kind of worried about there, T.
But see, that's the reason why, and I'm glad that you brought up the offensive side of the ball, because more of my points is I'm gonna agree with those guys that camped out the other day in front of the NovaCare complex, and I'm going to say it a whole lot more non-nice, I guess, if that's a word, than they put it. Run the fucking ball. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay, this offense is predicated on the run game. And the reason why the last year's offense was so explosive and so good was because the run game was a huge factor in everything that they did. It kept other defenses off balance because the run game had to be factored in. This is a passing league, so everybody is still thinking pass. But that run game also balances, especially this offense, considering how many RPOs they run. I mean, when you break down the word RPO, the run counts for 33% of that damn play, because that's 33% of an option. If the defense doesn't have to worry about you handing the ball off on the run, then goddamn it, what's the point of running RPO? Run the ball. Keep that defensive line, especially against the Cowboys, honest. Run at Micah Parsons. You did it basically a little bit in the first matchup this year. You did it last year. Run at Micah Parsons. Make him work. He wants to be an every down linebacker. Make him work for an every down linebacker. Run at him. And in the passing game, do not call plays 50 million times for Jalen Hurts to have to hold on to that ball. Make Jalen Hurts dial up some quick hitting plays for Jalen Hurts so that he can get that ball quickly out of his hands. He's not holding on to that ball, and he's not putting himself on the line to get sacked. It's a very simple game plan. Now, the question is, are they going to execute it?
Yeah. DeAndre Swift is Jalen's outlet, most points of the game, right? He's can run up the field, quick turn kind of guy. He will punish that defense in open space, right? Yep. He's quick, but can they get it done against this Dallas defense? I'm not sure, T. It's going to be tough, that matchup specifically. And I think, the Cowboys, they don't have Diggs out there this season on defense over there. I think Jalen is going to get that ball into a few windows for A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown is going to be the guy this week.
He has to be the guy this week. I mean, he hasn't been getting the ball really last couple of weeks now, and I know he's got to be dying for it at this point. And that's another thing I don't understand sometimes with the play calling and the play designs. Like you basically have a bowling ball of a wide receiver. Put the ball in his hands in different ways. Like all he needs is that opportunity with the ball in his hands, and he's gone. Hell, throw him a slant route. A regular slant that usually goes for 8 to 10 yards will go for 15 yards when you fuck around and throw it to A.J. Brown, but you actually got to throw it to him. You got to put the ball in his hands. I'm not saying, take it away from Devontae Smith. who's been stepping up, and I know Dallas Goedert is going to come back, so that's going to be a huge relief and a huge upgrade for the offense. But God damn it, put the ball in AJ Brown's hands. Figure out ways to put the ball in AJ Brown's hands. Good things happen. We saw that on that 6-game streak.
According to Fox Sports stats here, the Cowboys passing defense has allowed just over 180 yards average. The Eagles, to put that into perspective, do you want to guess how many yards per average per game the Eagles allow?
I know it's got to be in. It's got to be in the 280s to 290s.
260.
That was close.
Yeah, 260,
and I know it's close to last too, or either dead last.
The Eagles have allowed an average of 90 yards on the ground per game. The Cowboys 106. So these teams. So yeah, that you're right, T. DeAndre Swift is going to have to be on point, but I think AJ Brown stats, whatever the stats show, doesn't matter. AJ Brown is going to have to be that guy. He's been talking this week. He's been pumping us up, and I think that's the guy who I'm circling. And I know you talk about DeAndre Swift, but is there another guy that you are hoping has that breakout?
It's got to be. You know what? I'll say it like this. I know I just said that AJ Brown needs to be the one to step up. But if AJ Brown's being bracketed and double covered, the goddamn it, Devontae Smith has got to get open. Devontae Smith got to start catching them. Well, he basically catches everything that comes his way. So that's not the problem. The problem is that you can't ask Jalen Hurts to hold on to the ball for more than 4 to 5 seconds in that pocket and expect him to pull off a damn miracle when you have Micah Parsons breathing down his and DeMarcus Lawrence breathing down his neck. Like, he needs to get that ball out of his hands quickly. So once again, if AJ Brown is covered up, you now have not only Devontae Smith, but you also have Dallas Goedert as well. Honestly, if I had to lean towards one or the other, it would probably be Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert seems to do well against Dallas, conveniently. You know what? It's funny. We drafted him, and the draft was in Dallas, and his first name's Dallas. And he always dominates Dallas.
That was a spite pick. That was a spite pick.
Oh, you know it was.
Because the Cowboys were looking for that tight end. They ended up getting Vander Esch in that draft, correct?
I think he was first round. I think Vander Esch was first round.
Okay.
I forgot who they had for the second round, but yeah, they wanted Dallas Goedert.
Did Vander Esch retire?
No, he's out for the year.
Okay, I think they were contemplating retirement or
I did see that report where he's contemplating retirement. Right now, he's out for the year. So the linebackers
David Akers went up there. He went up there and he was trash talking. I remember this draft. Yep.
It was the most legendary draft pick I think I've ever seen in my life. That was hilarious. But speaking of the linebackers, shoot, the Cowboys defense, their linebackers are weak too. That's a perfect time for Dallas Goedert to expose that a little bit. I'm just saying. So yeah, if I had to circle a guy, it would probably be Dallas Goedert.
Okay, well that's good news to me, T, because I have Dallas Goedert on my fantasy football team. It's the playoffs. They started. Listen to this. Mark Andrews somehow slipped through into the waiver because someone was in a tough spot and they had to drop a tight end, and I guess he wasn't playing that week or he was out. And they dropped him. I picked him up. I had Dallas Goedert and Mark Andrews on rotation in there, and both of them got injuries that looked like season enders.
Wow.
Mark Andrews out for the season, but Goedert coming back against the team who broke his arm in the first place. That was a dirty tackle. How about that one, T?
That was a dirty tackle.
I was a little worried to play him. I don't know how hard he's going to go in his first game back after that forearm injury, but Goedert, he's well, first I want to ask you if you see Dallas Goedert being the Eagles tight end for the next 5 seasons.
I mean, he's he's what, 28, 29 years old. So I say he's got another good, probably 3-4 years left in him. So yeah, I do see him, but I also see the same route that they did when Zach Ertz was here and they drafted Dallas Goedert. which what they usually do is they draft a tight end early before, the starting tight end eventually, either gets traded away or released. And
Yeah,
that's
like
when the
they
young
had
guy
with
steps
Brent
up.
Selleck.
Yeah, the same
as
thing
well.
they did with Brent Selleck with Zach Ertz, and then with Zach Ertz with Dallas Goedert. I don't think they're going to draft another tight end for probably another maybe 3 years, but eventually they will. Eventually Dallas Goedert's time will be up. But for now, I mean, he's one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL, honestly. Probably put him in top 5 tight ends in the NFL if you want me to be honest. So they still have time with him. But they need to utilize the window now while they have him. He's a hell of a tight end.
I'm gonna spring something on you, T, because this talking about this Cowboys game, it's making me excited for Sunday because this is a prove it game for Jalen Hurts and for the Eagles. Even though the Eagles are 10-2 and the Cowboys are 9-3,
Rangers do every day.
Competition. Jalen Hurts is a dog. He's a team leader. He is a guy who I believe would motivate any locker room that he plays for. And he means business when he steps on that field. He stands on business, that's for sure. That guy
Got
over
that
there,
right.
Jalen Hurts. But any final remarks about the Cowboys before I ask you what your record prediction will be?
Oh man, like I said, offense. Okay, I will say this: the coordinators have pissed me off this season. I'm not even going to lie. Yes, the personnel hasn't exactly stepped up the way they have been, the way we expected them to. However, the coordinators, I don't think, are getting enough blame per se in terms of why this team is 10-2. I mean, sometimes yes, players need to step up, but in this situation, like the coordinators also need to step up too a little bit. And I've been on record as saying that Brian Johnson pisses me off, probably more than the defensive coordinator. I mean, some of his play calls don't make sense. I guess you can attribute that to Nick Sirianni as well. But on that offensive side of the ball, in terms of coaching, you guys can't ask Jalen Hurts to hold on to that football. You guys need to develop some hot routes for him when teams come against the blitz for him or teams are rushing really heavy against him. You guys need to have that real quick outlet pass so that Jalen Hurts is not getting hurt standing in that pocket or automatically just running to the outside, which is what everybody's trying to avoid him doing. That's first and foremost. And on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, look, you got to tell those DBs to step up and press. You got to tell those DBs to step up at the line of scrimmage. You can't allow those DBs to continue playing 10 yards off and allowing free releases, especially when we keep giving up fucking 3rd and 15s. 3rd and 15, and we're giving it up. We're giving up a first down. Are you freaking kidding me? Like that? Nothing irritates me more than having an offense backed up. Their backs are against the wall, and the likelihood of them converting should be slim to none, and they make it so easy to convert. That shit drives me up a fucking wall, and I can't stand to see it. I truly can't. Both all the coaching staff, I hope they step up too, not just the players. Coaching staff needs to step up too, because I think they've been doing the players wrong.
Any record prediction, T?
So I seen a stat that said I forget the referee's name, but I think the Eagles are like 7-0 when he refs the games.
Yeah, I saw that.
And typically the penalties go in favor of the Eagles. So that gives me a little bit of encouragement. Also, at the end of the day, we're playing Dallas. Dallas somehow, in some way, for some odd reason. And while yes, they're on a 14-game home winning streak, like at home, they're just completely dominant. But Dallas always does something.
I think they're 16-0 at home, the longest streak since like the 50s or something like that.
I think so. But somehow or some way, Dallas always figures out how to fuck themselves over in the worst situations and prove why they haven't won a Super Bowl in over 30 years. And I think that's going to happen. And I'm not just saying this to be a homer. Like, I'm saying this because the Eagles, I think, are going to bounce back. Dallas is going to do something, the same thing they did in the first game, to screw themselves over out of a win. Now, I do think it's going to be close. And I do think it's going to be high scoring. So I'm going to say the Eagles are going to win by a slight margin. I think the line is at 3.5. So the Eagles are not going to cover, but they will win the game 30-27.
Okay. All right, Tate. Now, the voice inside my head's been arguing with me all day about this game. I have this feeling that I usually get when I know that the Eagles, and it's going to be a close one, and they might drop it. This is a game where the Eagles, it sounds like, and it feels like, are supposed to lose because they get brutally beaten against the 49ers. This Cowboys team is on the upswing. They've played a relatively easy schedule, though. Dak Prescott's on fire. I think this is the Cowboys' wake-up call this week, too. And weirdly, this wouldn't have seemed like a season where maybe the Cowboys and the Eagles sweep the Cowboys this season. I thought maybe that would have been last year. The Cowboys get that last game in the series last year. My mind's telling me I should say that the Eagles are going to lose, but I'm going to go with the Eagles winning 27-23 against the Dallas Cowboys. In Dallas, they find a way. And I don't think it is as close as last season in terms of how we feel at the end of the game. I just think that the Eagles hold the Cowboys off and they get a touchdown late in the game where, it's no need to be nervous about.
Okay.
That's also what I hope. It would make my week much better going into work with two coworkers who are Cowboys fans.
Jeez, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, one's from Philadelphia too, so we all know how we feel about those kinds of Cowboys fans.
Cowards.
The worst kind.
Oh, disgusting.
Yeah, but as we end this show out, T, got to talk about the 76ers a little bit, right? Show them love. It is earlier in the season. We know how to do about talking about the Sixers. Years and years have gone by of us talking about the Sixers too early. Too early to talk about the 76ers. I don't care that they were one of the best teams in the league at one point. So many more games to play. They weren't really competitive in the in-season tournament that the Lakers are in. I believe it's the Pacers and the Lakers. I think that's the matchup that we're looking at here. But 76ers, 13-7. I do like the way they've played against teams like the Celtics, the Lakers, other competitive teams like that. Even when Joel Embiid was not in town, they still impressed. They absolutely dismantled the Los Angeles Lakers. That was a great win for the 76ers. But looking in the player stats, I mean, Tyrese Maxey has taken that next step. We thought last year he took a step. He's taken a leap this season. He got, what was that, a 50? Did he get a 50-piece earlier in the season?
I think he did get a 50-piece.
Something like that. Joel just recently got a 50-piece. You knew he was going to get one because he was sitting down in the chair and he shot and made that shot in before the game started. But Tyrese Maxey is definitely that second guy. Tobias Harris has stepped up as well. And points per game, Joel Embiid 38, Maxey 26, Tobias 18. Kelly Oubre was playing great before he got injured. Now there's, the controversial injury apparently that he's got. We're going to take his word for it that he actually did get hit by a car on his bike. I'll take his word for it. I guess it doesn't really affect me personally. I'm glad that he's okay, and I'm glad he's back to the team, but I don't know why he would have lied. Not sure. Maybe he was doing something he wasn't supposed to. We don't know. But definitely a key addition to this team. Patrick Beverley, a few games ago, he got over 25 points. He was an absolute dog. Great addition to this team because he is made for Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely.
Made for Philadelphia. He might not show it all the time in the stat sheet, but he has a presence. He is in the guy's face. Whoever has the ball, you know how when he took his shirt off and he threw it around like they just won the finals. It was for a play-in game or something it was like they knocked out. It was one he was on the Timberwolves, I think.
His podcast is also very entertaining as well. I will put that out there.
Rocco makes a return back to Philadelphia. I remember a quick little story here, T. Nothing bad or anything. When did he get on this team? When I was like 14 or something. He was on the Sixers, 13, 14. Feel like he was on the Sixers.
Yeah, you had to have been a young kid.
and it was him and Isaiah Cannon, I think that's his name.
I remember
They
Isaiah.
came to Philadelphia together in a package. They were at the airport when I was there picking up my sister with my mom at the airport, and there was these people all surrounded around these guys, or they were like, "Oh, I think that's Robert," and stuff. I'm like, Robert? Who's this guy?" And these guys are on the hoverboards, both of them on hoverboards. That means Robert Covington was like even a couple more inches taller than what he really is. This guy's like a tower. And there's people taking pictures, so I go over there. Very friendly, willing to take pictures with everyone there. That was my experience, Robert Covington, and he was a fan favorite for a while. He was a three specialist over there. I still have Sixers cups with his name and on those. And I was excited to see him come back. He's a different player now, but he definitely a great addition to this team. You wish you would have got a little bit more from the Clippers for Harden, but you're glad you got Harden out of there. Apparently, if you read up on that Morey situation with Harden, 76ers promised Harden a big contract. And after the Sixers exit in the playoffs, Morey was nowhere to be found, according to Harden. So that's when he felt betrayed, called him a liar, said he would never play. Now the Clippers were struggling too. That was pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, that was hilarious, by the way. I will say that. That was hilarious to see that as soon as after the trade, the Clippers were on like this 5 or 6 game losing streak.
They couldn't win. They couldn't win. But that's how I feel about the 76ers. I think that Joel Embiid is playing great basketball right now. But once again, too early to tell. Joel Embiid, he usually starts missing a few games in the middle or towards the end of the season for rest and stuff like that. But different team than what we're used to. Marcus Morris is even on the team now. I know you are a fan of Marcus Morris.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Marcus Morris. So little mini story for me too. When I was 18 and I graduated high school, my family just got me a 7-day cruise on the Bahamas, and Marcus and his brother Markeith were also on the ship as well. And I'm sitting down taking in an entire ship, because for anybody who's never been on a cruise, like I'm telling you, it's an experience of a lifetime. And I'm just taking it all in because I'm on this big cruise ship that can double for a damn city. And all of a sudden, these two towering human beings just come up behind me as I'm sitting down. I look up and I'm like, damn, they're tall. Damn, they're big. And they look down on me. They're like, what's up? I was like, what's happening, man? What's happening, y'all? And not knowing that they're NBA players. I mean, I forget which one got drafted by who, but one was drafted by the Rockets and the other one was drafted by the Suns. So they had the summer shirts on, but I didn't know it was them. So, and the ship had a basketball court. So I'm, for like a day or two, I played basketball with them and I didn't even know it was them until I popped in a game of NBA 2K and I was like, oh shit, I played with the Morris twins. So, that was a cool experience. That was really cool of them. That was really cool.
From Philly too. So,
yep, they're from Philly. They're from Philly. In terms of the Sixers, I mean, look, I like the way they look so far. I mean, they're a whole lot different of a team. You can tell that the mentality is different. And my God, we actually see motion. Like, you don't see players just standing around and just passing the ball around eventually to Embiid in the post and hoping for a fucking miracle. Like, there's actual like plays being, called and implemented. And it's not just, oh, feed the big man all the time. It's let's spread the ball around. Let's find the open man. Let's move. Let's move around. Let's do some off ball screens to kind of open some things up. Like I like what Nick Nurse has brought to the team now. Albeit, yes, everybody says it. You said it. Yes, it's early, but I am truly encouraged by what I see, and I can't help but to say that. Now, I will say this: in the midst of them winning, this may be a little bit of a controversy, but I'm just going to outright say it. I think it's time to trade Tobias Harris. It is time. Get what you can get for him while the iron is hot. I think you said he's scoring on average over 18 points a game. Like
yes.
that's pretty much on par for him. And before he starts sucking, before he starts going down, and those percentages drop, let's get him out of here. Let's find another piece. Let's go.
Yeah, and that's something that's been talked about for the past 3 seasons now. When's Tobias Harris getting traded? He serves his role though, right? He does what he needs to do, but the 76ers could have a better option. And that is yet to be seen. I think, between the Eagles and the 76ers, we're big into the Eagles, of course. 76ers, we know what's going to happen with them. So I feel like that's what's so hard in getting into 76ers season until we have no other option, right?
Oh, by the way, Tanner. I didn't get a chance to do this, but with the trade of James Harden, I finally get to do this. Just
get the out.
Okay.
God, I can't stand.
Fair enough. I think that trade actually happened right after our last podcast.
I believe so.
At 2 a.m. it happened.
That was crazy. Like all of a sudden my phone just starts going off and like, what the hell is going on at 2-3 o'clock in the damn morning? Oh, they traded James Harden. Y'all couldn't wait.
Could have got more, but you get a problem out of the city.
Yes.
Add a few pieces. That's what you need. And I hope Joel Embiid, honestly, I know that Joel might be on his way out eventually in the next year or two. And I think I will accept that because he's a player I really want to see win.
Yeah, definitely.
I know he's one of the most hated in the NBA for how he gets points, but seeing Joel Embiid win would be great. It would hurt if it was for a team like a rival team, like the Knicks. But that's who I want to see win. But more is Jalen Hurts. I want to see Jalen Hurts win like he is supposed to. And that starts with this game in Dallas against the Cowboys.
It gets freaky.
Go Birds. Big Dom's probably going to be there. I don't know what they're going to do with him yet. He thought that was kind of ridiculous. Guy's doing his job.
That was bullshit.
He's doing his job. I understand he's not a player, so he shouldn't really be interfering. But he's the security, securing the safety of the guys on the sideline.
That's all I'm saying, man. That whole situation was bullshit. But I digress. That whole situation. I don't know what's going. I don't know what the NFL is going to do. But I hope Big Dom still can stay on the sidelines because that was just bullshit.
Big Dom, do your thing, T.
All right, let's see if I still remember how I did this. If you guys missed any of this episode, you can always go to Philly-Experience.simplecast.com. Available on all major downloadable platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of them. Everywhere you look, we're there. We're like that annoying gnat. Everywhere you think you got rid of one, but damn it, another one pops right up. We everywhere.
We're here.
And we're listening. Nowhere. You're damn right.
It really pops out and it grows.
We got our ass kicked.
Surprise, motherfucker.